recesses of our minds lurk many thoughts and feelings that we'd prefer to deny ever having. These desires and impulses are so dark and so offensive to the conscious part of our mind that it launches various psychological defense mechanisms to keep them out. One of our most powerful self-protective defenses is psychological projection.
Welcome to Pure Element 5. My name's Suzanne, and today's epiphany came from realizing that we sometimes gravitate towards broken people, not because we're trying to fix them, but because we're trying to fix ourselves. What we see in others is always a mirror image of what's going on inside us. Let it be love that you see. Let it be love that you are.
Psychological projection is a defense mechanism that occurs when a conflict arises between your unconscious feelings and your conscious beliefs. In order to subdue this conflict, you attribute these feelings to someone or something else. You effectively trick yourself into believing that these undesirable qualities actually belong elsewhere, anywhere else but as a part of you.
By the end of this video, you'll learn the 7 most common projections. Your relationship with yourself is and always will be reflected in all your relationships with others.
If you're on board with that, thank you. Please like and subscribe. And if you know anyone else who would benefit from this information, please share the video. The classic example, often used to explain projection psychology, is that of the spouse who feels a strong sense of attraction to a third person. Their inner values tell them that this is unacceptable, so they project these feelings onto their spouse and accuse them of being unfaithful. This blame is actually a mechanism of denial so that they do not have to deal with or feel guilty about their own wandering desires. This sort of projection in relationships can put a great deal of stress and strain on things. After all, the innocent party is being accused of something that they haven't done. They will rightly defend themselves, often quite adamantly. Before long, you have a breeding ground of mistrust, poor communication, and doubt. When you look in the mirror and regard your reflection as imperfect in some way, you might choose to overlook these so-called flaws by taking every opportunity to spot them in others. Proclaiming someone else to be overweight, ugly, or to have some other unappealing physical attribute is most likely to occur when you have deep-seated image issues of yourself. Projection allows you to take the loathing you have for your looks and distance yourself from them by focusing on other people. When we are young, we tend to get along with everyone, and this desire remains as a part of us as we grow older. This means that when we find ourselves disliking someone, we usually project this feeling back on them so that we can justify our own less than friendly behavior. To put it another way, if you dislike Joe and you are not willing to consciously admit to this, you might convince yourself that it is Joe who does not like you. This protects you against feeling bad for disliking someone, no matter what your reasons are. If you really had to say why you dislike Joe, you'd come face to face with qualities that you either don't want to admit exist in you or wish you had more of. When we feel insecure about some aspect of ourselves, we seek out ways to identify some insecurity in other people. This is often the case with bullying behavior, when the bully will target insecurities of others in order to avoid dealing with their own concerns. This is why they will look for the most vulnerable individuals who can easily be attacked without risk of emotionally painful retribution. It doesn't have to be exactly the same insecurity that is targeted. Often, any will do. The person who worries that they are not smart enough will pick on the lack of romantic confidence in another, who might target the financial anxieties of a third person. In an attempt to mask the anger that may be raging on the inside, some people project it onto those that they are angry with. During an argument, you might try to maintain a cool and measured exterior, and even tell the other person to calm down in order to deny the anger that you are actually harboring. Or you may use the actions of others to justify your anger towards them, even when an alternative approach could have been taken. Projecting anger onto someone else shifts the blame in your mind. You are no longer the reason for the conflict. You see yourself as the attacked, not the attacker. We may not like to admit it, but we all take part in behaviour that could be considered irresponsible from time to time. Whether it's having a few too many drinks, taking unnecessary risks with our safety, or even being reckless with our money, we are all guilty of doing things that we probably shouldn't. To avoid feelings of remorse, we project our irresponsibility onto others and criticise them for their actions. Sometimes we hone in on things that bear no relation to our own misdemeanours. And other times we scold people for doing precisely the things that we ourselves had done. Blaming the victim is one of the most common examples of projection, where people will criticise the victim instead of the perpetrator of the crime, saying that the victim somehow attracted their hostility. Understanding projection is fundamental in learning about ourselves and creating success for ourselves and others. Projection is the technique we use to judge others. Where we judge others, we remain separate and cannot move forward. It's important to understand that learning from our projections on others is crucial to our own success and that of any organisation we are a part of. Projection is often damaging to our relationships with others, so any attempt to eradicate it as a habit, either by yourself or with professional help, is totally worth it. When you are willing to face your unwelcome feelings head-on, you will find they are much less draining and damaging in the long term. If you thought this was pure engagement, please give us a thumbs up. And if you thought it was pure poo, feel free to give us a thumbs down. It helps us create the content you want to see. The links are down below if you want to catch us on other mediums, along with a link to our website so you can download our free ebook. Until we meet again, the essence of who you truly are is pure love. Go out and connect with someone and show them the love.